When you fall, you have less than half a second to respond. That is less than 500 milliseconds for your calves, thighs, and hips to fire and stabilize your entire frame. If those fast-responding muscle fibers are not trained, they simply do not respond in time. Most seniors never realize that this half-second isn't about luck, it is about preparation. As a physician in the United States, I see the consequences of this delay every day in the ER. After age 75, leg muscle power declines significantly faster than most people think. It is vital to understand the difference. Strength is how much weight you can lift, but power is how fast you can move that weight. It is the ability to react quickly, to push off the ground, and to correct your balance before gravity takes over. Research shows that adults over 75 can lose 2 to 3% of this leg power every single year. Power often drops twice as fast as muscle size. This means your legs might look exactly the same in the mirror as they did 5 years ago, but they do not respond the same when it matters most. This is why stairs suddenly feel steeper, why getting out of a favorite armchair feels heavier, and why your balance feels slightly less certain than it did just a few years ago. Here is the uncomfortable truth. Walking alone is not enough to stop this. Walking keeps you moving forward, but it does not rebuild the fast twitch fibers responsible for catching you when you trip or slip.
But here is the hopeful part. Studies involving adults in their late 70s and 80s show that specific chair exercises can rebuild leg strength, reaction time, and stability within weeks without a gym or heavy weights. In this video, I'm going to show you 5 easy chair exercises that help stop leg weakness, ranked from helpful to most powerful. Before we dive in, how old are you right now? And do you feel stronger or weaker than you did 3 years ago? Write your age and where you're watching from in the comments. We are reading and replying to every single one. Let's begin with exercise number 5.
We begin our journey back to strength with number 5, seated ankle circles. Now, even though this might seem like a small, almost trivial movement, do not underestimate what it does for your overall stability. Your ankles are essentially the foundation of everything your legs do. Think of your body as a building. Your ankles are the ground floor. If that ground floor is weak, stiff, or unstable, it doesn't matter how strong the upper floors are, because the whole structure is compromised. In the medical community, we recognize poor ankle mobility as one of the sneakiest contributors to falls. When your ankles cannot respond quickly to shifts in terrain, like a bunched-up rug or an uneven sidewalk, your entire body is left vulnerable. To do this, sit tall in a sturdy chair, lift your right foot, and slowly rotate it in a clockwise circle. You want to make the biggest, smoothest circle possible. We are waking up those tiny stabilizing muscles that have likely been dormant for years. Do 10 circles in each direction for both feet. Over time, you'll notice that wobbly feeling on uneven surfaces starts to fade. This brings us to number 4, seated calf raises. Your calves are the unsung heroes of your lower body, yet most people over 75 have no idea how weak theirs have become. Your calf muscles are your first line of defense. They are responsible for pushing off the ground when you walk, and most critically, catching you when you stumble.
A certified trainer I work with, Felicia Hernandez, puts it perfectly. Calf strength determines whether you catch yourself or go all the way down. To perform this, sit straight with your feet flat, then press through the balls of your feet to lift your heels as high as they will go. Squeeze at the top for 3 seconds, then lower them slowly. That slow lowering, the eccentric phase, is where the real muscle building happens. Not only will this make your steps feel more powerful, but the improved muscle activation also increases blood circulation, which can help with the cold feet and swelling so many of my patients experience daily. Now we are getting into the exercises that directly protect you from the most dangerous situations older adults face every single day. Number 3, seated leg extensions. This movement isolates your quadriceps, the large muscles on the front of your thighs. I cannot overstate this. Your quadriceps are arguably the most important muscle group when it comes to maintaining your independence after age 75. These are the primary muscles that control whether you can stand up from a chair, lower yourself onto a toilet seat safely, or get in and out of a car without needing someone to pull you up. Fitness professionals and geriatricians have noted that weak quadriceps are a leading indicator of fall risk. When these muscles cannot control your descent, a simple act like sitting down becomes what we call a controlled crash. You lose the ability to decelerate, which often leads to injury. To do these correctly, sit back in your chair with your spine supported. Slowly straighten your right leg in front of you until your knee is fully extended and your leg is parallel to the floor. Point your toes slightly toward the ceiling and focus on squeezing that thigh muscle at the peak of the movement. Hold this for 5 seconds. You might feel a slight shake. That is your nervous system waking up. Then, lower your leg back down as slowly as possible. Do not just let it drop. That controlled lowering is where the real biological magic happens. Complete 12 repetitions on each leg.
The beautiful thing about leg extensions is that the progress happens remarkably fast. Many of my patients report noticeable improvements in their ability to rise from a sofa within just the first 2 to 3 weeks. It proves that your muscles absolutely can still respond to training, no matter your age. This exercise is the gold standard for building the power needed to keep your knees from buckling, ensuring you stay in your own home on your own terms.
Now we move to an exercise that might sound simple, but is actually a sophisticated tool for your longevity. Number 2, seated marching. This movement is one of the most comprehensive leg strengthening exercises you can perform from a seated position. It doesn't just work your hip flexors and quadriceps, it engages your core and your glutes in a coordinated pattern that mimics the actual motion of walking. This is what we call functional training. You aren't just building a muscle in isolation, you are training your body to work as a unified system, exactly as it needs to when you are on your feet. Research from Harvard Health highlights seated marching as a critical intervention for seniors because it retrains the neuromuscular bridge. You see, as we age, it isn't just the muscles that weaken. The communication pathway between your brain and your muscles also slows down. This is the lag time that causes a trip to turn into a fall. Even if you have some strength, if your brain can't signal the muscle to fire fast enough, you won't be able to lift your foot over a threshold or a bunched-up rug. To perform this correctly, sit toward the front edge of your chair with your back straight. Lift your right knee as high as you comfortably can, bringing your thigh toward your chest, and then lower it with total control. Immediately switch to the left leg.
Start with a steady, rhythmic pace for 30 seconds. As you get stronger, you can increase the speed to challenge your heart and lungs, or even press your hands down against your thighs to create extra resistance. Consistency here is everything. If you do this 5 days a week, you will start to feel lighter on your feet. You'll find that you aren't shuffling as much because your hip flexors now have the power to lift your feet clear of obstacles. It's a cardiovascular and neurological reset that ensures your brain and body stay perfectly in sync.
This is it. We have reached the single most important exercise on this entire list, backed by more clinical research than almost any other movement in geriatric fitness. Number 1, the chair sit to stand. In the medical world, we call this the gold standard. In fact, the 30-second chair stand test is one of the primary tools I use in my clinic to assess whether a patient is at risk for losing their independence. When you stand up from a chair, you are lifting your entire body weight against gravity using your quadriceps, glutes, hamstrings, and core in perfect coordination. It is the most functional movement you perform every day, when you get out of bed, leave the dinner table, or exit a car. If you lose the ability to do this one thing, your independence is effectively gone. But by practicing it as an exercise, you turn that decline around. A systematic review published in the International Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health analyzed nearly 1,400 participants and found that this specific movement produced the most consistent improvements in lower body function across the board. To perform this, sit toward the front of a sturdy chair with your feet flat and hip-width apart. Cross your arms over your chest to ensure your legs are doing all the work. Lean your torso slightly forward, engage your core, and press through your heels to stand up completely straight.
Pause for a moment to find your balance. Then, and this is the most important part, slowly lower yourself back down.
Do not just plop down, control that descent. If you need to use your hands for help at first, that is perfectly fine. As your strength improves over the next 4 to 6 weeks, you'll find you need less assistance until you are standing tall on your own power. Your body is waiting for a reason to get stronger again. Give it that reason today. My name is Dr. James Carter. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the comments.